like that was Led Zeppelin. I just felt like it. I'm sitting here. I just felt like it, and I thought that you would have the correct answer, and you did.
Keith, did you tell everybody on the phone call yesterday that you said it was Zed Leplin?
Same thing.
Who's this guy, Zed Leplin?
Hey, same thing, man. As I've always said, Zeb Leplin, Led Zeppelin. And even, I'll take a step even further. You know who the Monkees are?
Sure. The old band in the 60s?
Same thing as the Beatles to me. Haircuts,
Oh,
skinny
goodness.
ties, and white shirts. Bad suits, skinny ties, and bad haircuts. I'm just saying. To me, same thing. I can tell you one thing. The Monkees had a TV show. The Beatles didn't.
Oh,
That's fair to say. Hey, we're the Monkees. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the NFL. All right, so fellas, you heard Max Kellerman there just a minute ago, right? We know what Colt McCoy, can he be the real McCoy he was against Seattle if they need him to be? But Key, you brought this up yesterday. It's not just an injury to Daniel Jones, it's injuries. He's dealing with the hamstring, which has hamstrung the Giants. He's also now got a left ankle injury. Jay, you know that, of course, is our resident Giant fan. But here's the more interesting story, and Jay, I want to get your perspective on this. You know, there was a time where the Browns, you'd never see them on Monday Night Football. You'd really never see them on Sunday Night Football because obviously they haven't been a factor. This has been a little bit of a different season. But here we are. You're going to see Cleveland twice in 6 days, the Monday night stage, that loss to the Ravens, and then Sunday night against the Giants. And I know the Giants are trying to scratch and claw and get back into the division race, and Jay, you're a Giant fan, but you honestly believe this game, even though the Browns are sitting comfortably in the wild card spot, you really believe this game is a bigger deal for Cleveland on Sunday night?
I do. I still think they have a chance to win the division. The chances aren't high. I don't see the Steelers dropping the game to the Bengals. I don't think the Steelers are going to drop 3 games in a row, but I still think this game is important. The worst thing I want to see is the Browns, after that incredible performance against the Ravens, then come out against a team that Jason Garrett, their OC, on the COVID list. James Bradbury on the COVID list. Daniel Jones hurt, kind of injured, still with that hamstring. Who knows if he's going to play or be mobile in the pocket after being sacked 6 times against the Cardinals and them dropping that game. Even if Colt McCoy is playing, I think the Browns have to continue to trend towards their ceiling, which is a team that can compete against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills to win the AFC. I'm putting the Browns in that category. If Baker Mayfield can continue to show the improvement that he's shown over the last couple of weeks, he's been playing like the first pick in the draft compared to their running game with the way Nick Chubb is playing, Kareem Hunt being used as a versatility knife. It's just they have all the pieces. You just don't want to. There's a part of me that's still waiting for the Browns to brown it. And like a chance for them to brown it is against the Giants, who are depleted. I don't want to see that happen to the Browns. And I'm a Giants fan. I want to see the Giants win, but I think the Browns can accomplish more.
Yeah, I think the browning thing is out now. It's over with. No one. The Cleveland Brown fans don't have to worry about the Browns becoming the Browns of old anymore. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, the general manager, are on a different trajectory with this team. They're on a different train now. Their train with Freddie Kitchens is gone. Hugh Jackson, gone. Chris Palmer, gone. They don't have to worry. I can tell you firsthand and just seeing it with my own eyes, they don't have to worry about the way things have ended in the past. You look at the Monday night game against the Baltimore Ravens, they certainly showed that they can come back from behind, double digits down, and make it a game, something you didn't see in the past. I don't see a let-up. The Browns are beating teams that they should beat. Many years ago, they were losing to teams that they should beat. And this New York Giant team, and I get it, I picked them to possibly make it to the playoffs at 1-7, and they had a great run, and it was cute, and it was fun to watch, and it was great for me and Zubin to go back and forth and talk about it. But in the end, the Cleveland Browns are a much better football team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they got some issues that they need to tie up. Myles Garrett needs to start to come to the party as they get ready to go into playoff contention. Then they become a full team. But I think they have enough on the offensive side of the ball and just enough on defense to get past the Giants and Colt McCoy or a injured Daniel Jones. I don't see any other. I don't even see any way that they're going to sneak up on the Browns like they did the Seattle Seahawks. I just don't see it happening.
And we're asking this morning on the Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin Nation, whose Sunday night is more important to? I mean, this is a big spot. The Browns or the Giants for various different reasons. 71% of you are with J. Will. It's the Browns at Lee Dex 66 just hit us up on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed and said, Browns need to stay hot and confident going into the playoffs, cannot have a letdown against a team like the Giants. If they lose, believe playoff hopes will start to fade away. And Key, this is a point that you brought up, which is interesting because there's clinching that 10-win season for the first time since 2007, trying to snap the NFL's longest playoff drought. Though I should mention, even if the Browns win on Sunday night and they get 10 wins, it would still not clinch a playoff spot. There are 5 teams that can clinch a postseason berth this weekend with the win, but the Browns are not among them. But there is something to be said. If you're going to bust out and do it in a big way, don't do it at 1 o'clock on CBS or Fox with 13% of the country watching. Do it with 100% on a Sunday night and say, we are for real.
And I think that's major for them. I think it's major for the city. And I joked about it yesterday and said that they've been trying to get 10 wins for the last 4 or 5 weeks. They've really been thinking about these 10 wins, and I was corrected by my producer to let me know that they haven't been trying to get it for 4 or 5 weeks, even though I knew that. It's one of those deals where the city of Cleveland and the fan base are so tight right now to get to that 10th win. It's like as soon as they get to 10, they could just be able to go because they haven't done it, like you said, since 2007. And this is extremely important to the city, the organization. If they don't get that 10th win Sunday night against the Giants, it could be crazy riots taking place in Cleveland. That's how hard up they are to get a win.
And also, I'll say this, Zubin, on top of the 10 wins, like having the Giants and then the Jets, right? Like the one thing that you worry a little bit about the Browns is just will they play down to the level of competition? That's something that any team, especially when you start making moves in the right direction, you worry about because you want to remain and sustain that high-octane style of play because it sets up for that final game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think we talked about it. We said in order for the Browns to truly arrive, now granted they can win in the playoffs, but look, beating the Ravens and beating the Steelers, 2 teams that have just been in your way for a very long time. And I think the Ravens game, it came down to the wire, a couple of things that happened wrong. They lose that one, but I think the Steelers game is a game that they need to get, especially going into the playoffs. They need to get that one. They should go 3-0.
Jay, they won't. It won't. Here's why it won't be a letdown, and they won't play down to the competition, because this is all new to them. They're not bored. Teams that are bored, like Seattle, like a Kansas City Chief team, like teams that are constantly winning, Pittsburgh, they get bored. It's like, okay, we're trying to get there. So we don't have the luxury of becoming lackadaisical and bored. We can't do that. We're trying to get there. If we're having this conversation 6 years from now, and Cleveland is consecutively going to playoff games and in the mix, and then all of a sudden they go up against a New York Jet team or something like that, then we can say they better watch out. But they don't need to watch out for the Giants. They understand the mission, and they understand what the Giants did against the Seahawks because they've never been there before. They don't want to squander this opportunity.
Can I just go back to something you said originally, Key? You said that the Freddie Kitchens train has left. Why has that train got to show up at my damn house?
Well, he's a tight end coach. As you always say to me, Dr. COVID, you say, hey, it's weird in 2020. And Jason Garrett is no longer not. Jason Garrett had to step away for a couple days while he goes through the protocols and all the COVID situations that he is in, testing positive. Now they have to certainly give it to Freddie Kitchens, and it probably the only guy on the offensive side of the ball that has some familiarity with calling plays. I don't think that the offensive line coach or the receiver coach has had, experience calling plays. And so Freddie Kitchens did win 6 games as a head coach with the Cleveland Browns. I mean,
thanks for that breakdown.
Makes you feel better.
I was being sorry. Thank you. I really appreciate that in-depth breakdown. Thank you.
And we should say, for those that aren't familiar, as Key just said, Freddie Kitchens 1 year with Cleveland last year, 6-10. Jason Garrett has COVID, so Kitchens will be out there calling plays against his former team.
You think he'll look like a trucker still?
Jeez.
Here's the other thing. If you're not old enough for this one, he used to be Alabama's starting quarterback. Think about that. Think about how different he looked when he was Alabama's starting quarterback in the early 1990s. The Browns, Kitchen's old team, will be looking for his old quarterback, Baker Mayfield, to get in the zone on Sunday night. Get in the Zone brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the Zone, AutoZone. On the way, 4 downs. The 4, maybe 5, but we're going to go 4. Biggest matchups in the NFL this weekend, including the long, perhaps awaited return of a future Hall of Famer. After we remind you, beginning Tuesday, January 5th, Mike Greenberg begins his show Greeny immediately following Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin right here on ESPN Radio.